George Kell Motor Company player of the game is Theron Davis, and just a great job tonight, at least a couple of touchdowns, and played well on both sides of the football. Congratulations, young man, on your victory tonight.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about, what you can. Eli Alcorn, let's talk about him first. Let's talk about that.
He just an athlete.
He's good.
Came up doing great things.
Yes.
Earned the job. Yes, sir. He's just doing good.
He is doing great, and he made 2 great throws to you,
yes,
and you
sir.
made 2 great catches. Talk a little bit about those catches when you see the ball coming. What are you thinking?
got a little connection too, right?
Right, yeah.
We cousins, so.
Oh, is that right?
So
I
we've been
didn't know
doing
that.
it since little kids.
Is that
yes,
right?
Sir.
Y'all play Pee Wee football together and
yes,
all
sir.
that? Yeah, I bet you
He had
did.
moved up, won the Super Bowl.
Is that right?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
got to play together, and I know it's great having him out there. But
Him and Nunk.
yeah, you guys. We went up there last year. You scored on first play of the game. Remember
yes,
that
sir.
first play? And then tonight, super night, we get 53 points. The victory is what's the most important
yes,
thing.
Sir.
What I want you to tell me about defensively, because we don't get to call a lot of those guys up front. You played well, and I talk a little bit about some of those other guys that
defense.
played. Yeah, defense is good.
Just Kevin, Donovan,
Yeah.
Jalen, Poober. He had good defense.
Didn't he tonight?
He was locking him up.
He was.
Our D-line did actually.
Weren't
they
they
great?
Weren't they great?
Yes,
they
sir.
were real good. And you talk about those linebackers who were making tackles from
yes, sir.
sideline to sideline. Coverage was outstanding.
Yes, sir.
Secondary was awesome.
Yes, sir.
You guys have worked at that, and I do know this, that you can't win game 2 until you win game 1.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a big victory for us. Just talk just a little bit about a big win.
We always want to go 1-0.
Absolutely.
Each week, so we just practice hard, and just go hard.
There you go.
Yes,
well, that's right. You're looking to go 1-0 every week. That's a great
yes,
thought. That's a great thought. Well, listen, we're so excited about you being named the player of the game, the
yes,
George
sir.
Kell Motor Company player of the game.
Thank you.
Your catches down here were just simply outstanding. I mean, all night long, you just make plays. Now, they could have brought a lot of those people up here tonight. Offensive, defensive lines, just awesome.
They did outstanding.
A rebuilt offensive line.
Yes, sir.
They were pretty good, weren't they?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding, as you call it. Theron Davis, he's our George Kell Motor Company player of the game. He was outstanding. A lot of guys were outstanding. And your cousin, Eli's your cousin.
Yes, sir.
No wonder he's throwing that ball up to you like
yes,
that. Theron, congratulations, my friend. George Kell Motor Company player of the game, Theron Davis. The Sampsons bring you the Subway Coaches Report, and we're going to make sure that we say go Hounds at the end of the game. Mark Hansley,
yes,
good
sir.
to see you, my friend. We talked a little bit before you got on. Just a great football game,
yeah.
and you're tired, the kids are tired, a hot night, but talk a little bit about the victory.
It's exactly what I wanted. Believe it or not, it's exactly what I wanted. It was I'm tired. They're tired. They're cramping. But it's exactly what I wanted. And the reason I wanted it was because when you play a Pottsville team, you don't play a Pottsville team because they're going to finesse. You play a Pottsville team because they're physical.
Absolutely.
They're downhill. They're in your face. And it really does check who you are. And so, when you have a team like we did, we come out hot the first quarter. Adrenaline was pumping. We playing on our emotions. We had a big first quarter, kind of pulled back the second quarter, kind of give them a little bit, winning at halftime. And I challenged them, and I said, listen, we're trying to find our identity. This is the prime moment where you find your identity. We're hit with a little bit of adversity, had a hard second quarter. I said, let's see how these next two quarters. If you give me the two quarters after half, like you did that first quarter, it's going to be a good finish for us. And they come out and did exactly that.
Coach, one of the things that I want to talk about is the grit and the guts in that offensive, defensive line. I mean, especially defensively. Our offensive line was just, they were super. But I want to just talk specifically about the defense right now because these guys were getting hit and knocked, and we just kept coming back and fighting and fighting and fighting defensively. The effort was absolutely tremendous. Talk a little bit about that.
In our starting, we've got about 2 or 3 different lines we kind of cycle through because we move them so much, and they're demanding double teams and trying to be disruptive. So we have a lot of lines. So you see a lot of guys playing on the fronts. But those 3 mainstays, Tyler Johnson, Justin Simmons, and Kevon Dixon, there are 3 main guys. And, that running what we're running now, as a 3-4 against that stuff, you have to have some really good dudes up front to even stand a chance. And those guys did a great job. Justin Simmons, he's the only guy right now playing both ways on that defensive line. And let me tell you something, talking about grit.
Yes, he does.
I've always said Clemmy's got the grit. I've always said that Jadarius is a gritty player. I always talk about these gritty players, the Zane Watkins of last year. Justin Simmons is on that list now. He is a gritty player, playing both ways, cramping, but going back in because he knew that's what he had to do. He needed to be that as a senior. So gritty performance, man, on just the whole line. And it's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that line who people have been talking about, or people have been saying that they, that's our weak spot. I wanted to see them get challenged and push, and I saw that tonight.
Offensively, we have weapons everywhere on the field. Talk a little bit about options that you have as a play caller.
Yeah.
You got to get the ball to one of 5 or 6 guys.
It's the most dangerous unit we've ever had since I've been here.
I agree.
And here's why. You've got Theron Davis on one side, who is the fastest kid in the conference. You have Donovan Biggers, who is a guy that people probably won't know about because he didn't play last year.
Right.
He'll be that guy that you don't expect, but he's that other speedster on the other side who's very fast twitch. And then you have Chris Reynolds, the other third receiver, because we're 3 receivers. You have Chris Reynolds, who is 6'6", with 3-foot arms, and he catches the ball so well outside of his body. He is so dangerous in that respect.
Right.
He's not the speedster, but he's that possession guy. And so from the receiving standpoint, we are loaded. I mean, we really are. Then you throw in the H's that we have. What I call the H's is like the new H fullback with the Clemmy Alcorns and the Jadarius Reeds and what they can do in the blocking game and the passing game. And they're just a true hybrid. And then with the running backs we can put back there. And our offensive line stood up today. And when you have the quarterback, who is like another skill player, it makes your offense a different monster.
Yes.
I mean, it really does, and you saw that monster tonight.
Well, I mean, no doubt that Monquell had a great ball game. I mean, he's a gritty kid.
He's a gritty runner.
Yeah.
Smart runner. Now, we coached this up, but we're running a 4-minute, slow-minute offense right there, a slow-score offense, and he had a chance to try to get out of bounds, get that extra yard, and he cut it back in because he knew he could not stop the clock. So, just a smart player. That's a senior. That's why you want him in that situation, and great effort.
You mentioned Eli, and I talked with Theron about it. He threw the ball. He can make things happen when he's flushed out of the pocket. He throws a couple to Theron, and Theron just went up and got them. And they're completions. Theron was telling me that they were cousins. But I thought for the first time out, Eli Alcorn was sensational.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't remember what the stats were, but I think somewhere around 250 throwing and almost 100 rushing. I mean, that's from a sophomore's first performance. That's unbelievable.
Not too bad.
And not to. And I'll be honest with you, he didn't really have that deer in headlight look, and I thought I was going to get that out of him in the first game, but I didn't see it, man, and that's very comforting for me to see that.
Well, the Hounds are 1-0, and it sure always feels better when you start off with a victory. I know last year we came up short 28-21 and had a good visit, and we learned from that.
We did.
And you'll learn from this game too, and you make your most improvement between game 1 and game 2, and I mean, it doesn't get any easier for us, but it's a different brand of football, I think, coming up with Greene County Tech. But tonight, I just thought we made plays when we had to make plays and kept getting the lead. And I have to tell you this, you can watch it on our broadcast. I'm sitting there late in the game, and I said, we need a turnover right here. And I'm talking about, bam, we got the turnover. Jadarius Reed ran it in for 60 yards.
So
huge play in the game.
The picks that we had,
yes,
you couldn't have picked a better time to get them. And, but that's just making big plays, and that's the one thing I told the kids before we come out here. It's not what we do, it's how we do it. And I said, when we get out there and we get into a critical area, and a critical area, is your third downs, your fourth downs. The big times where you have to have big plays, and those are just prime examples of critical areas where we had big plays and big times.
Well, I know you'll get back to work. You'll get in the study room, and we'll be a better football team next week. Great to start the year 1-0. Offense clicking most all the night. The defense when they had to, making plays when they had to. Kicking game was solid. As we can, we work on our extra points, but we'll get that down.
That's going to be something we're really going to have to work on.
Absolutely. So But I'm telling you what, congratulations on your first victory. And it's like Theron said, and this is a great quote from Theron. Theron said, we're 1-0, but that's what we want to be every week.
That's right. That's perfect.
We want to be 1-0 every week.
The most important game is the game that we're currently having.
That's absolutely right.
And if they can live in that mindset, I'm glad you told me that, because that's how we want to live.
The Subway Coaches Report is always brought to you by the Sampson at Subway out in the Walmart Supercenter. This is Coach Mark Heisley, he's head football coach and the athletic director of Newport Greyhounds. And once again, congratulations on your victory. And as always, go Hounds.